This 5 million coin setup is better than the Juju short bow. This cheap pet is absolutely insane. And this free enchant gives you a massive damage boost. In this video, I'll be covering 3 cheap ways to increase your damage by a lot. The Juju shortbow has been the uncrowned king for early game. Like literally everyone and their grandmother has probably used it by now. Cause it's good. Right? Well, yeah, no. If I'm gonna be honest, Juju is bad for one main reason. It's slow and clear. I mean, just look at how slow my clear is. The 50% bouncy arrow chance, worthless. And there's also the fact that arrows actually have to reach the target to hit them. And you think I'm gonna wait for a few milliseconds to deal damage? No, I'd rather forage. On second thought, waiting was way better. Now what should you even do then? Well, first steal an entire Reddit post. Shout out to user iscarrotforever for this post. Thank you H-Bomber guy. Basically, according to this person,
down with Juju! True Bears is meta? True Bears is, in my opinion, far better than Juju, mainly because it clears a lot better.
And personally, it does feel a lot faster, as I've got a much larger AoE with even more damage. And it would be even better if my burst level was higher, because you get more range with each level upgrade. Now you'll still clear faster if you abuse terror armor and have actual skill. But I'd say using a Shadow Fury to simply click away is a much better and a lot easier method. And you'll also not have to worry about dying. The Siphon. There's also the other burst passives. Honestly, for early game, burst is goated. Now, how will this setup work? First, you need to get full burst armor, meaning Necron or Shadow Assassin. For boots, I recommend Maxor. Then attune your stats to speed or attack speed. Try to get at least 82 attack speed because we're trying to be faster here. For equipments, I recommend all dungeon equipments with 5 stars and the Blooming Reforge. This Reforge can be obtained from the Flowering Bouquet. Now the equipments include Adaptive Belt, Shadow Assassin Cloak, Bone Necklace, and the Soul Weaver Gauntlets. You can also use any equipments with high tier speed attributes. For this, the cheapest setup would probably be the Magma Necklace, Lee's Belt, Glowstone Gauntlet, and a 5-star Shadow Assassin Cloak or Gas Cloak. Also, according to some comments, it's even faster with the Cleavers, as they have the Cleave passive, which allows you to gain an even larger AoE. Again, you don't need to throw away your Juju, as you can still use terror armor pieces to improve your clearing. But remember, this is way riskier, as your HP is reduced by a lot. Or you can even go through the mage route and just use a scepter. But as someone who has tried both of them, I'd say burst is your best bet, as both setups don't have the luxury of simply clicking your mouse, dealing insane damage while also insta-healing yourself.
Rejecting the Juju and embracing the Berserker's melee prowess may result in the loss of mouse holding comfort. Arm pain may ensue. Choose your weapons wisely.
So if you're trying to clear faster or are struggling to survive, I recommend this setup. Now for the weapon, anyone should work, but here are my top picks. Use any of them depending on your budget. The highest tier cleaver you can use, Felthorn Reaper, Shadow Fury, or maybe even a giant sword. For the pet, I recommend Tiger or Zombie Pet. Now when it comes to pets, a lot of players get confused on what to use. There are a bunch of really good options, like the Wither Skeleton, Lion, E-Drag, G-Drag, but all of them come at a varying price tag. But there's actually one pet, which I technically covered in a previous vid, but I'm covering it again because I recently found out that it's even better than I had initially thought. It is the Zombie Pet. Basically, the Zombie Pet buffs your damage on zombies, and dungeons is literally packed with zombie type enemies, especially bosses, as not only are there vanilla zombies, but from what I know, all player skinned mobs count as zombies. So you'll be getting a 25% boost for a bunch of mobs. It's especially useful in boss fights, excluding F3, F4 and F7, because they aren't player models. Now for Archer, Skeleton should be better, as it gives 60% boost, right? Nope. According to some posts I found, you can bully me in the comments for not knowing this, but turns out the skeleton damage boost is actually additive, meaning it's not 60%, it's more like 20%. So the 25% boost from the zombie is actually better. Now you might say there are a bunch of pets like tiger that give insane DPS. Well, the issue with tiger is that you depend on the ferocity, and we recently discussed how melee clearing is actually better, and with enough range you can actually clear faster than juju. And while melee clearing, ferocity literally doesn't matter because it won't even trigger unless they fixed it. But the zombie pet's buff will trigger every time as long as it's a player model or zombie, and the buff is pretty substantial, especially in the floor 6 boss fight, as all the mobs will count as zombies. Now I don't think there's any good pet apart from the E-Drag or G-Drag that, when you compare with the zombie, are really expensive, and the other pets either buff your DPS or are just worse compared to the zombie. So unless you can afford an E-Drag, the zombie pet will help out a ton in any floor except F7, because in F7 you use Wither Skeleton because Wither. Also, you don't even need the leg zombie, as the epic one will give you all the perks you need. So yeah, get an epic zombie pet and a weapon of your choice, preferably melee, and start grinding some dungeons. Now there are a bunch of enchants that work as alternatives, but a lot of players don't know which one to use. For example, prosecute or execute. Now this depends on what you need. With prosecute I dealt 1.7 million damage, but with execute I only dealt 1.5 million. So prosecute is better, right? Yeah, it depends. If you're trying to one-tap certain mobs like ghosts or flares, then yeah, prosecute is a lot better. But let's say you're trying to grind a boss, then well, execute is a lot better because you will gain more overall DPS. I wanted to test this thing further, so the video got delayed. On average, on T3 volumes, I dealt 1.71 million with execute and 1.65 mil with prosecute. On T2 volumes, on average, I did 1.27 million with prosecute and 1.32 million with execute. So yeah, the difference is like 4%. So does it matter? So what I'm trying to say is get to IP. Next, we've got triple strike and first strike. So which one's better? Well, turns out it's technically triple strike because your overall damage is much higher. Not a lot, mind you, like 6%. But first hit damages don't even compare. So yeah, use first strike instead. The first video is thank you for us more videos. If you don't know much more,